Hi guys, so in this video we're going to be taking a look at how you form an army in Hail Caesar. I've had a couple of queries about this, so I thought I'd do a short video on it. Most armies in Hail Caesar are going to be made up of what are called divisions. And a division is the smallest grouping of units in the army. Typically, a division is a minimum of 4 units, and that will often exclude skirmishers, but you need to check the specific army list parameters to make sure what and how that army operates. So in this example, we're going to be taking a look at the Imperial Roman Army, or EIR as it's sometimes referred to. And in the theme of this army, I'm doing an army which is comprised of the majority of Roman troops alongside some Barbarian Auxiliary Allies. So that's the theme of the force. Often the armies of this period, you had a heavy core of heavy infantry that were Roman. The Romans typically made use of auxiliary troops for their cavalry and sometimes skirmishing and archer troops. So that's kind of what we've got represented here. So if we have another closer look at this list and the actual parameters of the list, we can see that we need to have 50% at least of half the units in the army must be infantry other than skirmishers. Of that infantry, 25% must be Roman legionaries of one type or another. We're also allowed to have up to 25% of the units in the army being cavalry. We can take some artillery, and there are parameters for how we can field those. And as it states clearly here, divisions must be 4 or more units, and divisions must contain at least 4 units, excluding skirmishers, and must be led by a commander. And finally, the parameters on skirmishers are that skirmishers may be up to 50% of the infantry units in a division. So that basically gives us our parameters there. And what I have picked in my army here is the following. Now the white dice are just there to give an obvious visual break between the two divisions. On one side of the dice column is one division, and on the other side is the other. So if we have a quick look at the left-hand division here, I have gone with 3 heavy Roman infantry legionary units, a small unit of light cavalry on the flank here, and in the front, a unit of skirmishers with slings. And the division is led by a Roman commander. So here you can see I've got 4 units, excluding skirmishers, and the legionaries are quite clearly more than 25% of the infantry in the unit, and the parameters for cavalry are also matching. But this is not per division, this is typically per army, I believe. In the second division, we've got 2 Roman legionary units, a medium auxiliary cavalry unit, and a auxiliary archer unit, and also a unit of auxiliary skirmish javelin men. And the division is led by a barbarian general in this case. So again, for the division, we have 4 units excluding skirmishers, and cavalry are 25% or less. So that, to my understanding, is a legal army, and for performance on the field of battle, one of the commanders will be nominated as the army general, and in this case I would typically give that to the Roman, just for the feel of the Romans being in control of this force. And to get a feel for points, I'll pop this down on a piece of paper if I can get hold of it. So as you can hopefully see here, the example army, 2 divisions, the legionary heavy infantry are 32 points each, the light cavalry small unit is 17 points, skirmishers with slings are 12, and the commanders are free. Second division, again, the Legionaries are 32 points each. The medium cavalry unit is 27. The light infantry archers are 21. And again, the commander is free. And the total cost for the army, come down to bottom, is 248 points. So obviously, when you build your army for Hail Caesar, you'll need to bear these parameters in mind and points costings as well. And if you're playing a matched game, if you like, against your opponent, you obviously want to try and get your points to be within spitting distance of each other to have a fair game. Again, Hail Caesar is designed for armies bigger than this, as I've demonstrated in a couple of our army battle reports that we put out on our channel so far. You can also play with a single division should you wish to, and I've done that a few times just to help learning the ropes of the game and getting the feel of how things work. The problem with only having one division is games can be over fairly quickly because one army can break fairly quickly once it loses a couple of units. But with an army of a couple of divisions, you have a lot more resiliency to that, and you can have an enjoyable game which will last an evening's play and get a good feel for the game that way. So that was a quick look at forming an army in Hail Caesar. I hope you found that helpful. As always, please like, share and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video. Cheers.